Hey, y'all. Oh, my gosh, I'm not going to have room for my... Good thing I don't need a bunch of notes because there's no room for them. Let everybody get in here. Okay. Yeah, y'all just double stack or whatever you need to do here. Thank y'all for joining us. I just wanted to give you an update on some great work that we've been doing here in the office with a lot of partners. So many partners we can't all fit right here on camera. But, you know, a lot of times we announce initiatives in government, and in my opinion, we don't often get enough follow-up. And we get the news for announcing some sort of task force, initiative, what have you, and then we never hear from government about what we actually accomplished since that announcement. So some time ago, last year, we had an announcement about the problem of organized retail crime and what we are trying to do to combat it with our partners, and how we were asked by the U.S., our federal partner, U.S. Department of Homeland Security Investigations in particular, how we were asked to join what's called ORCA, which is an Organized Retail Crime Alliance. And specifically with our partners in Louisiana, Alabama, and Mississippi. They call it LAMA for short. I call it ALMA for Arkansas. But so this is a group that they've asked us to join. We've run with it on our side. And then after we joined those other states, I also wanted to have my own organized retail crime Arkansas-based group to meet, interact with the other states, share information, best practices, and to cooperate with each other in these investigations. So first of all, what is organized retail crime? Let's start from the beginning. Well, as the name implies, this is going to sound a little bit like a joke, but it's not. Organized retail crime is sort of the opposite of disorganized retail crime, and same with, and so that basically means that someone who shoplifting on their own, not organized with other people, that's not uncommon, that's illegal, and we should stop that. But that's not what this is focused on. This is focused on organized retail crime, which generally targets systematic theft. It's focused on systematic theft. These are more professional criminals, many of them working for organizations that are involved in a number of criminal activities. You know, when people are already involved in running drugs, trafficking people, doing all the bad criminal acts that we're familiar with, they don't draw a line and say, well, but I'm not going to steal. They see another revenue source, and so they often engage in organized retail crime, which generally, not always, but I think it's fair to say generally targets big box or bigger retailers. Certainly our mom and pop retailers and our smaller organizations, our smaller companies can be victims of this. But generally these folks, these criminals, are targeting bigger ones. What am I talking about? Well, Walgreens, CVS, which are both partners, Walmart, Target, Lowe's, Home Depot, those sorts of entities. and they are partners. We have many more partners. Glad to have our Walgreens partner here today, our private sector partner, and they're actually leading LLAMA currently as the chairman. So we've been working with a number of people on this effort, and I thought we needed to update people on what update the public on what we've been accomplishing. This is a really big problem. We pay what I call organized retail crime tax. We all pay it because the cost of the theft, the cost of the insurance, the additional cost, all of these costs are passed on to us as consumers, and that's a tax. And so before we get into the specifics of what we've been doing, I want to introduce you to some of the partners. Now, true, we're partnering with people out of state, and we're doing more and more of that with this alliance. And I would note, Homeland Security obviously is a national organization. There are federal partners. They're all over the country. But this ALMA, is the first example, a pilot, if you will, of a regional approach to dealing with organized retail crime. When I mention those 4 states, you may think, well, how many other 4 or 5 or multi-jurisdictional groups do you have? Well, at this point, none. We are the first. We're part of the first, and so we're trying to pave a path so that others can fall in on our experience and best practices and be a part of the solution. So we want to get this right. We don't want to just say we've got it and then show no results. We want to actually get some stuff done so we can tell other states how effective it's been, and Homeland can go around as our federal partner and organize more of these and become more effective in fighting organized retail crime. They're always fighting it, even if there aren't other regional teams. But this is an innovative approach that I believe, because I'm seeing it, I believe it's working. I think our partners believe it's working. And so before we get into the specifics of what we're going to report on today, let me mention some of the folks that are here with us. So I've got Rusty King from LRPD up here. Oh, he's over here. We ran out of room. And Joe Miller, Assistant Chief, is here as well. Great guy. Known him a long time. Appreciate him being here. The others are great guys too. The chairman of LLAMA Orca, who's with Walgreens, and they've been a good partner here, is Chris Scotty. Is that correct? Okay. HSI Supervisory Special Agent Jeff Pryor, who's a critical partner here, and he is relatively new. How long?
To this position.
To this position, and we are looking forward to doing new things and expanding our reach with him. Chief Thessing from North Little Rock PD. Everybody knows Chief Helton from LRPD. Chief Chris Harris, I think, is behind me, from Conway. Eric Van Dyke from Walmart Global Investigations. Everybody's heard of Walmart, right? And Gerald Harrelson, who's my agent here, focused exclusively on organized retail crime. We did not have, did I miss anybody? Okay. We did not have, when I got here, we did not have, I think it's fair to say, anyone working on organized retail crime. Is that correct?
That's my understanding.
Yeah. We didn't have anyone working on this issue when I got here. And when we started to work on it, we had limited means because we were adding more, we were putting more on the plate of the few agents that we had, including my push on human trafficking, which, as you know, we had a big conference on that last year, 1,500 people. We didn't have a full-time on human trafficking. We didn't have anybody doing organized retail crime. We've got new capabilities and new responsibilities on cybercrime. So I just want to thank the governor and the legislature. I went to them and said, look, we can't do more with the same small number of agents that we've always had. We're a growing state. This is a growing area of crime. And so we got a dedicated person. So Gerald Harrelson, they call him Woody. I wasn't supposed to say that, but Woody Harrelson, he is full-time on organized retail crime. And that is going to make a huge difference. Because if you say something's a priority, but you only spend a fifth of your time working on it, is it really a priority? I guess it is with that fifth of your time. But this is more important than that. So happy that we've got him and we've been able to put someone on that full time. So let me tell you just some of the specifics that we've been dealing with. So first of all, a little background. And we did a press release on this, and this was a while ago. This is in January. And in every one of the instances that I'm going to show you, this one, which is more for context, and even though it was months ago, and then the three that were in the last month, which I'm going to get to next. The commonality in those is my office and Homeland Security. And Homeland Security has great visibility all over the place. And so they're always going to be there. And then when there's a specific instance, this is Blytheville, for example, there are going to be others. State police, locals, what have you, are going to be there. And sheriff, just different partners. In this case, you can see with Blytheville, we had 9 arrests. We had a big Tennessee component here. Now, they're not part of this organization, but as I indicated earlier, there are people doing this all over the country, not just your local criminals. These are folks moving state to state. That's part of their strategy. Keep on moving, keep on moving. And so this involved Lebanon, Tennessee, which, if you know where that is, that's on the other side. That's on the other side of Nashville. And Memphis were both involved in this, along with Osceola and Mississippi County and State Police and Blytheville PD, etc. So that was the first formal action operation that we were involved in before we started planning individual blitz type operations. So what we've done in the last month are 3 specific operations. Okay, so, and if any of y'all were involved in these and you're not up there, let me know. So August 15th, about a month ago, we had a North Little Rock operation. We've got all the individuals, the names of the individuals and where they're from and all that stuff, and we can get you that. A lot of that's in the press release, which if it's not already out, it's already out. Okay, you'll have that. So you'll have all the arrests, who was arrested. We've announced some of this stuff. So that was my office, NLRPD, and Homeland. Now, I would point out that the focus is organized retail crime. But to my earlier point, we often get unsavory criminals who have other problems. Fair? So in this case, we picked somebody up on a fugitive warrant, as part of this operation. And that was successful. Do you want to, is there anything you want to say on this one? Anything you want to add on this? Okay. So, success, you want to say that, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. So now we'll go to, this was the one in Little Rock. I guess that was exactly a week after. Yeah, okay. So this one we had 4 arrests. We had some meth charges, some marijuana charges, drug charges. We recovered a stolen car that we got back to the owner. I'm sure it was in pristine shape when we got it back to him. Yeah, so what you see is you may be going in for organized retail crime, but what you find is other stuff going on. Anything you want to add on that?
No, just successful.
Okay. Perfect. All right, and we got a little competition up here. And then September 12th, which I believe that was yesterday, right? Yeah, yesterday. So Conway PD with us and Homeland Security, and of course our private sector partners, whether you're talking Walgreens, whether you're talking Walmart and other retailers, depending on the facts of the particular situation, they're involved. And without getting into specifics, I'll just say from the private sector standpoint, particularly some of these larger companies have incredible tracking, sales tracking capabilities and data that can help support this effort. Conway, 6 arrests. Anything you want to add on that?
Huge success.
Huge success. Okay, even better. So, in any event, look, the bottom line is these are the type of things that we've been doing. We're going to keep doing them with our partners. And at this time, I'd like for Jeff from Homeland Security to say a few words and maybe provide some more details that he can provide.
First and foremost, good morning. Jeff Pryor, Pryor, Attorney General Griffin, thank you for having us. Let me start by saying that it's very difficult to solve organized crime from a disorganized perspective, and that's really what we're trying to do here at the Alliance, the partnerships that you see, and trying to come at it from the approach of working together. With that comes a lot of the benefits that we've had. You've seen some of the successes, but what is not highlighted here is also what we've learned from these various operations. What is effective? What is not? What people are we encountering? How to be better about solving the actual organized element of this. And one of the biggest things we bring to that is the ability to prosecute individuals federally when appropriate. And I'll be the first to tell you that's not always appropriate, and we let a lot of our state and local partners handle that. But as the Attorney General alluded to, our reach is beyond Arkansas. And so we're able to take a lot of these lessons we learn here and apply them throughout the Alliance, the 4-state area, but certainly beyond that. And what we're doing is building up to the Super Bowl, for example, is in New Orleans this year. And Homeland Security Investigations will do operations around the Super Bowl to protect both people, for example, our human trafficking operations. We'll protect property, intellectual property rights, for example. And this is going to be another portion of that we focus on to combat the theft of goods. And I do want to make one real quick point. While it's important for us to stand up here and talk about the partnerships that we all have, I think it's equally important to talk about the partnerships of you all being here, because it doesn't really matter if we do this work in a closet where it's never known to the public. I think it's really, really important that the public hears that, yes, this is a problem, and yes, we're doing something about it, and how we're coming together to combat it, because that is what will eventually push the quantity of theft that we're seeing down. And then more of a personal note, why this is important to me, and I know that I'm new to the group, but I'm not new to law enforcement, and I'm not new to Arkansas. But I have kids, and when organizations get together and start stealing, let's say, children's Tylenol. And then all of a sudden we have a run on children's Tylenol in the state of Arkansas, and you have a child with 104-degree fever, that becomes as real as it can get as a parent. And so it's not just that the theft is of some innocuous item. We're oftentimes seeing theft that comes from a request list of these organized elements where they want 100 units, let's say, of children's Tylenol. And that's really what we're combating, is those types of things. And so I'm both personally and professionally thankful for the partnership here. I'm thankful that you all in the media are here to take this as serious as we are. And so with that, I appreciate it, and I'll turn it back over to you, Mr. Attorney General.
Great, thank you. Yeah, it brings up a couple things, and I'm pulling up my phone here because I want to mention a couple things that were on my mind. One thing you hit on, it is absolutely important that we talk and talk and talk and do press on our side, because deterrence occurs as a result of people learning that there are consequences. A lot of the smash and grab and other stuff you've seen in cities around the country, you see it on social media, etc. A lot of that stuff is done often because people don't feel like there are any consequences. They can walk out and nothing's going to happen. And sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't. And sometimes you just see people watching them walk out with stuff, and they do it over and over again. And so it's really important when we do something that we tell you about it, and hopefully we'll get the message out that this is occurring. The other thing I wanted to mention is, so we're part of this broader group with Llama, led by Chris as the current chairman, and through the Homeland Security folks and the other states. But in Arkansas, I wanted to have my own group that does two things: that meets in my office with whom we want to be a part of it, and then we interact across state lines with HSI and our partners. So to that end, we have meetings. We have, for lack of a better name, we call it Orca A, which is Orca-A, which is just the Arkansas part. So we have meetings. We've had them, I don't know, every month or two, and where we get people together for lunch and we talk. It's mostly law enforcement and private sector partners, but we're talking about best practices, what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong. We're developing one of the most important things in life. We're developing relationships where we know people, who to call, and we're talking to them, we're communicating with them. And right now we're going to start looking toward the legislative session so that we can identify things that we need to, that I want to advocate for. As you know from my first legislative session, I believe in having a package of stuff that we're going to push. And so I've been talking to Steve Good, for example. He leads the Arkansas retailers, and I looked up on my phone here because I know Tyler is here from Arkansas retailers. We need those partners, even if they're not the biggest and involved across state lines as much. We still need them and their input with meeting with us and sharing with us. And so I think our partnerships are going to grow, and I think our effectiveness will grow. Does anybody else have anything to add? Okay. Well, I appreciate y'all being here, and we got time for some questions. Yes, sir.
I see the number of arrests here. Do we have any idea or estimates of how much dollars that translates to in terms of what was stolen?
Yes, I talked about that as well before we got, in the last few days. Are there ways to quantify that? I'm sure there might be. Do we share that routinely? What do you want to retail? Okay.
So the way that's quantified is essentially the value that the store, for lack of a better word puts on that item. And so we do calculate those. We do both on a case basis, because that can matter for a charging document, for example, but we also collect that from a national standpoint. And so as far as the numbers for this, I don't have those off the top of my head, but I know that the Attorney General had referred to, I believe it was $70 billion that is ultimately passed on to us as taxpayers. And we're certainly seeing our portion of that in Arkansas in terms of the amount of loss that's being absorbed first by the corporation, Walmart, what have you, and then passed on to us.
Yeah, and one thing I would mention, because that's a great question. That's the type of thing that is routinely put out when there are big drug busts, et cetera. It would make sense. So you have it. One thing I'd want to point out here: there's no guarantee when we execute one of these blitz operations. There's no guarantee you're going to find them with much of anything. I won't get into all the evidence that we have, but you may find them with nothing from a retail vendor, but you have other evidence that ties them to it. So that is, we don't have that today, but it's a great question. I think it's something that we will be cognizant of as we go through this process, because certainly, this isn't Goodfellas where you open up the back of the truck and there's there's boxes of cigarettes, or whatever. That could happen, but that's not always the way it works in reality. Now, if you came upon somebody that had boxes of children's Tylenol, then obviously you could put a price on that. But our focus is not just to celebrate with a big number. It's to get the bad guys and girls and put them in jail. Hopefully, is that fair? Okay. Anything else? Yes, sir.
You talk about consequences. Is there anything special that you guys are going to be permitted to hold them a little extra?
I'm working on that for the legislature. We're in litigation on prisons. It would help if we had more prison space. That's the subject of a lot of other press conferences and discussion and a lot of ink in Dale's paper. So I won't get into all that. But in terms of, are there ideas relating, I think what you're asking, are there ideas related to organized retail crime that would reflect the increased priority we've put on it the way we have fentanyl? So last session, 2 years ago, we said, hey, this is an elevated threat with what's going on with fentanyl. Let's go in and elevate the penalties. Let's put a new focus on it. Let's have some additional consequences. That is on my agenda for the legislative session. We don't have that at this time to my satisfaction, but that is something. Look, I think a lot of these areas where we want to not only have stiffer consequences, but we want to send a signal to the public that this is an elevated threat. I think it's fair to add additional penalties and to single it out and make sure everybody knows that if you're doing this, you're not going to have a good result. So I just say that stay tuned on that, but that is definitely on the agenda for me personally. Okay. Thank you all so much. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. God bless you.